We will begin with the basics and gradually move on to more complex topics. Let's start by discussing the different money myths that are existing in our society. As you are aware, every society has some beliefs, and these beliefs are passed down from one generation to the next. But it is also true that a lot of these beliefs may actually be misconceptions. They might not be true. So it's very important for you to be aware of what might actually be a misconception which might be affecting the way that you're managing your finances. So we'll start off with the different money myths that are existing in our society. The first myth that most people are having is that housing prices always go up. You must have heard from your parents, maybe some relatives, that they bought a house at X amount and now it is at a value of 5x or 10x. But is it true that the prices are moving in a straight line? They're continuously moving up. Is that true? That is definitely a big myth that people are having. Housing prices are also volatile, just like you hear in the news that the stock prices are moving up and down all the time. Nifty has gone up by 1%, it has gone down by 2%. So every day you can see that the stock market is fluctuating. Likewise, the housing market, the real estate market also is highly volatile. Although you do not get to hear of the prices each and every day in the news, maybe you might be following the housing prices, or you might be tracking them once in a while, once in a year or maybe 2 years. So you do not get to know of the day-to-day fluctuations in the housing sector. But it does happen. They do not continuously move up, and there are times when they can actually crash. Like in 2008, the financial crisis, the subprime mortgage crisis, which affected the whole world. It started from the US, it went on to different countries, Europe, and it also affected Asian countries. It actually affected the whole globe. That was basically a housing bubble. The housing prices had gone through the roof, and ultimately they ended up crashing in USA. Similarly in India also, it does not happen that all the time the stock prices and housing prices always keep moving up. There are lots of times when the housing prices do actually collapse. I'll give you an example of this. There is a news article which I would like to show you, which clearly endorses what I'm saying. Look at this. In 96-97, property prices went crashing. This is a news article, and there are various other media agencies which have published similar articles. The housing prices crashed by up to 50% within a matter of few months. So do not remain in this belief that if you buy a house, it would continuously keep on increasing in value. Another thing that most people believe is that the kind of returns they got in the housing sector in the early 2000s will keep on repeating all the time. In 2000s, if you had bought a house by 2007, it could have gone up by 3 or 4 times in a matter of 6 to 7 years. But such kind of returns are not common, they do not happen all the time. They are actually outliers. Most of the time, the housing sector does not give you returns more than 5 to 7%. I'll show you another example of this. This is a news article published in the Economic Times which shows that the returns on property have only been 38% in the last 10 years, from 2010 to 2020. Average housing prices in India have gone up by only 38%. If the inflation rate in India is around 6 to 7%, then all the other prices are expected to double within 6 to 7 years maximum. They can even double within 4 to 5 years, depending on the rate of inflation. But the housing prices did not even go up by 50%. in 10 years. So you are actually getting negative returns if you adjust for inflation. And this is an average across India. So do not remain under the impression that the returns, the exemplary returns that were there in the Indian housing sector during the early 2000s will keep on repeating all the time. From my personal experience also, I can tell you that the housing prices in Delhi NCR region from where I belong have remained stagnant, have remained almost constant, and in some places have even gone down between 2014 and 2023. So if you had bought a house, if you had bought some land or plot or some commercial property also, it is very likely that you would not have made any return for the past 10 years. Thus, whatever your parents have told you, whatever you have heard from your relatives about property being a very safe haven, which will give you consistent returns throughout your life, is a very big and common misconception. Likewise, people believe that stocks are riskier than real estate, which I have shown you through examples is again not entirely true. Although on a day-to-day basis, stocks do move much more, they are much more volatile compared to real estate. However, if you look at a little longer time period, maybe few months or years, real estate is also very volatile. House is believed to be an investment, but I'll give you a contrary view. If you invest in a house, maybe you believe that this property will keep on appreciating, and you invest in this house. You bought it for 1 crore and it gave you a superb return. It went up 3 times to 3 crores within a matter of few years. Then if you want to book these profits and use those profits for some other purpose, maybe you want to go on a vacation, or you want to sponsor an education degree abroad, or for some other purpose, you want to spend it on some car or some other thing. Can you do that? You would not be able to do that, because whatever profit that you have, 20% of that will go in long-term capital gains. So you will be paying around 50 lakh as capital gains tax. And the only way to prevent that from happening is to reinvest the entire amount in some other property, or you can invest it in long-term tax-saving bonds like REC or PFC. But either way, you won't be able to use this money for any other purpose. You won't be able to utilize it for any other productive use. If you want to start a business or you want to use that capital for some other purpose, you won't be able to do that. So is that really an investment? First, property is not at all liquid. You cannot go and sell it immediately. You will have to wait a long time to find the right buyer. Second, the actual deal also takes a long time, so it's not at all liquid. The returns, as we've seen, can be very volatile. The entire profit that you're having also has to be reinvested if you have to save taxes. So I wouldn't consider housing as a lucrative investment option. It's not a good investment avenue, but if you want to buy a house for maybe residing in it, if you do not own a house and you want a permanent address, a permanent residential property, then it is still okay, then it's acceptable. But if you're looking at property as an investment avenue, then it's very likely that you might find better opportunities elsewhere, like in the stock market, or you can invest it in gold bonds, gold ETFs, and other kind of things which we will discuss later on. In the Indian society, around 80% of the investment is in real estate. Around 85% of the total assets people are having, they own in the form of real estate, which is not a very lucrative opportunity in terms of an investment option. And also buying a home in India is very expensive compared to buying a home in USA. In US, an average house that people are looking to buy would be around 5 times their annual income. But in India, it's almost 25 times. Because in India, the average that people are earning is around 4 to 5 lakh rupees per annum. And if you're looking at a 2 BHK or a 3 BHK, it would cost you around 1 to 1.5 crore on an average in any metropolitan city in any good location. Thus, do not remain under this belief that in India properties will keep on appreciating all the time and you would be getting superb returns. At the beginning only, you're paying 25 times of your annual salary, which is quite a lot compared to other countries, even developed countries like USA and European nations.